Dear all, welcome to the presentation on vapor power cycles. The subject is thermofluid science. In earlier lectures, we understood the basics of thermodynamics to model and simulate the thermal power cycles. This lecture is focused to understand the working, the plant layouts, performance improvements, formulation and analysis of vapor power cycles in a thermal power plant. Before going to learn thermal power plant, especially the vapor power cycle, what is the basic difference between the vapor and the gas? See the PV diagram developed for a pure substance. The red color shape is a vapor dome. It consists of left hand side curve is called as saturated vapor line, and right hand side is this curve is called as saturated vapor line. The saturated liquid line and saturated vapor line meeting at a common point is called as critical point. For a pure substance like water, the critical pressure is 221.2 bar and the critical temperature is 374.15 degrees centigrade. The specific volume at this condition is 0.00314 meter cube per kg. We can see the series of isothermal lines in this PV diagram. And below the critical point, the shape of the isotherms are different, and above the critical point, the shape of the isotherms are continuous. Now, let us consider a isotherm below the critical point. We are starting at the superheated vapor. Uh, in here, the continuation of this compression process, the superheated vapor is converted into the saturated vapor. Later, the saturated vapor is entering into the liquid vapor mixer, and at the end of this phase change, the vapor is completely converted into the saturated liquid condition. Further continuance of this isothermal compression process, it enters into the compressed liquid region. So through isothermal compression process, it's possible to convert the vapor into the liquid. But the case is different in isotherm above the critical point or even at through the critical point also. Through the isothermal compression, it is not possible to convert the vapor into the liquid because it's always in the gaseous form. So the isotherm passing through the critical point is differentiating the gas and vapor. Now vapor is defined as a medium that can be converted into the liquid by means of isothermal compression process. In vapor power cycles, the working fluid undergoes phase change. In gaseous power cycles, there is no phase change because the working fluid remains in the gaseous form. For example, in the Brayton cycle, the working fluid is gas. In all the process and components, the phase is gaseous form only. But in this vapor power cycle, it undergoes many states like liquid, liquid plus vapor, and the vapor. Example of this vapor power cycle is Rankine cycle. Best is Rankine cycle. Steam Rankine cycle is a more popularly used in thermal power plants. In addition to the steam Rankine cycle, organic Rankine cycle is also used, especially in the heat recovery based thermal power plants. So the Rankine cycle is a vapor power cycle. It is invented by William John M. Rankine, the Scottish professor in Glasgow University. The construction of a steam power plant is explained here by means of schematic arrangement of the components. Basically, there are four components: the turbine, condenser, pump, and the boiler. The boiler consists of three sections: economizer, evaporator, and superheater. 1, 2 is the expansion process in steam turbine. 2, 3 is the condensation. 3 to 4 is the pumping. And 4 to 1, that is 4, 5, 5, 6, and 6, 1 is the boiling process. Circulating water is used to condense the steam in water-cooled condenser. The 7 to 8 is the states of external circulating water temperature as well as states. Similarly, hard fluid or gas is circulated in the boiler. Uh, the states are showing from 9 to 12, 9, 10, 11, 12. Energy interactions in this Rankine cycle is WT is the output from the turbine, Q2 is heat rejection in the condenser, and WP is the heat supply to the pump. Q1 is heat supply to the boiler. The same steam power plant has been shown on TS diagram. 1, 2 is the expansion. It is showing is vertical line because in the simple cycle it is assumed this is the isentropic expansion. 2 to 3 is the condensation. 3 to 4 is the pumping. 4 to 1 is boiling. 4, 5, 6, 1 is the boiling. The external fluid, that circulating water, is showing in the blue line, that's 7 and 8. The red line shows the hot fluid in the boiler, the hot gas, 9, 10, 11, 12. The energy evolution can be solved using the steady flow energy equation. Since the process and components in vapor power cycle undergoes a open system, the flow process we can assume as a steady flow process after getting the steady state in the power plant. Neglecting the potential energy and kinetic energy in steady flow energy equation. The steady flow energy equation is expressed m into h1 plus q is equal to m to h2 plus w. So the main energy in this flow process is enthalpy in addition to the heat supply as well as these work interactions. The first component is shown here is turbine to energy at the inlet of the process is m1 h1. At the exit or the outlet energy or wt is output and enthalpy m2 h2. So w2 can be calculated by enthalpy difference. ms into ms is the mass of steam, h1 minus h2. The energy balance equation in condenser is at the inlet the total energy is m2 h2 and water is entering here m7 h7. At the exit it is m3 h3 and it is going to exit 8 is exit m8 h8. We assume this condenser is completely insulated. The heat lost by hot fluid is equal to heat gain by the cold fluid, that is the Q2. ms into h2 minus h3 is equal to mw cpw t8 minus t7. In this equation unknown can be calculated. If the steam is known, amount of water required for condensation can be determined from these energy balance equations. Next, the feed pump. Energy balance in feed pump, the energy supply is m3h3 and wp. At the exit energy is m4h4. So energy supply to the pump is again enthalpy difference ms into h4 minus h3. The h4 also can be calculated from the area under PV diagram. For open system or steady flow system, work can be calculated by m into minus VdP. The process is 3 to 4. After the integration, assuming specific volume is constant, for the water the density is mostly it is constant, approximately 1000 kg per meter cube. Minus mv dp, where dp is integrated between 3 and 4, that is the p4 minus p3. Therefore, the positive quantity of pump work is mv into p4 minus p3. p4 is higher than p3. Wp is equated from the earlier energy balance equation. ms into h4 minus h3 is equal to mv into p4 minus p3. In this equation, the unknown is h4. That's why h4 is determined from the earlier enthalpy, that is h3 plus v into p4 minus p3. The boiler is also a heat exchanger similar to the condenser. The energy balance in boiler is at the inlet M4H4 and M9H9. At the exit it is M1H1 and M12H12. So after simplification, it is heat loss by hot fluid is equal to heat gain by the cold fluid. This is the heat supply to the boiler. Q1 is equal to Ms into H1 minus H4, that is equal to Mg Cpg T9 minus T12. The mass of the gas is given with the particulars of temperatures of hot fluid. It is possible to determine the amount of steam can be generated in the boiler by means of from this energy balance equation. So, to determine the performance of Rankine cycle, that is vapor power cycle, thermal efficiency for first law of thermodynamics is defined as output by input. Output is Wt minus Wp and the supply is Q1 in the boiler. So the first law efficiency, algebraic sum of heat transfer is equal to algebraic sum of work transfer. That is Wt minus Wp is equal to Q1 minus Q2. It can be replaced by Q1 minus Q2. So the efficiency also can be expressed 1 minus Q2 by Q1 into 100. Q2 is the heat rejection, Q1 is the heat supply. The performance also expressed in steam rate as well as heat rate. The steam rate is defined as amount of steam required to produce 1 unit of electricity, that is in terms of kg per kilowatt hour. It is determined from mass of steam kg per hour divided by W net in kilowatts. Similarly, heat rate is also defined amount of heat supply to produce 1 unit of output. Q supply in kilowatts and W output in kilowatts. It's number now, kilowatts by kilowatts. It's also inverse of thermal efficiency. There are two types of irreversibilities in Rankine cycle: external irreversibility and internal irreversibility. The irreversibility associated in the boiler and condenser is called as external irreversibilities, and irreversibilities associated in turbine and pump because of the dissipative effects. They are called as internal irreversibility or internal dissipative effects. Now, the irreversibility in steam turbine, that is the internal irreversibility, due to dissipative effects of expansion because of the friction in the turbine, is determined from the enthalpy values. In this graph, HS diagram or Mollier chart, 1 2 dash is expansion, isentropic expansion, and 1 2 is actual expansion. So isentropic efficiency for this turbine is defined as a small value by higher value, that is actual enthalpy drop and isentropic enthalpy drop. Actually is H1 minus H2, isentropic is H1 minus H2 dash. Similarly, for pump also it is isentropic efficiency is defined. 3 to 4 is the actual pumping, 3 4 dash is the isentropic pumping. Isentropic enthalpy rise is less than the actual enthalpy rise. So that isentropic efficiency is defined as isentropic enthalpy rise by actual enthalpy rise. The smaller value by higher value, H4 dash minus H3 divided by H4 minus H3. For the known value of efficiency, at the end of this pumping, H4 can be determined from this equation. These diagrams, that is a TS diagram and HS diagram, showing the complete vapor power cycle, that is a Rankine cycle. It's a basic Rankine cycle. having four simple components, but irreversibility also is considered here. Internal irreversibilities are expressed for the turbine as well as the pump. But pump, since it is energy in handling by pump is very small compared to other components, the state 3 and state 4 are very close. But we can see the S4 is slightly greater than S3 because of the acidity effects. Sometimes mean temperature of heat addition to the Rankine cycle is defined to compare with the Carnot cycle. In Rankine cycle, the heat addition, the temperature is not constant, it is varying in the economizer as well as the superheater. In TS diagram, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 is the Rankine cycle. The heat supply starts from 4 and ending at 1. In sensible heating of water, the temperature is increasing from T4 to T5, and during phase change in the evaporator, there is no temperature change, that is T5 is equal to T6. Again, during sensible heat transfer in superheater, the temperature is increasing from T6 to T1. The equivalent mean temperature of heat addition can be defined if this temperature is glide or steps is replaced by a constant temperature by equating the heat transfer. In TS diagram, the area under TS diagram is called as heat transfer. So heat supply from 4, 5, 6, 1 is equal to 7, 8. Then this T7, T8 is called as mean temperature of heat addition. From the calculations, that's the heat one, Q1 is a heat supply, that's H1 minus H4, and heat supply to the mean temperature is Tm S1 minus S4, that's the area under TS diagram. The unknown is Tm, that is the mean temperature of heat addition, is calculated from by H1 minus H4 by S1 minus S4. It is substituted in the thermal efficiency, that's 1 minus Q2 by Q1. The Q2 is here T2 S1 minus S4, and Q1 is Tm into S1 minus S4. The heat rejection we can see here area under TS diagram, that is 3, 2 is a temperature, it's a T2, and the entropy difference is same, the rectangle. For heat addition as well as the heat rejection, the entropy difference is same as per the Carnot cycle. For cancelling this entropy difference, the remaining equation is 1 minus T2 by Tm. It is same as Carnot cycle efficiency. There are many options and methods to improve the thermal efficiency of Rankine cycle. They are superheating, lowering the sink temperature, raising the boiler pressure, reheating, regeneration. Reheating as well as regeneration. So the source temperature can be increased as per the Carnot principle, or sink temperature can be decreased to raise the thermal efficiency. In addition to these concepts, the boiler pressure may be increased and reheating may be added, regeneration may be included, combined of all these things also may be practiced. This analysis is showing the influence of superheating and high pressure turbine. There are two variables here. One is the boiler pressure is changed and turbine inlet temperature also changed. Increase in turbine inlet temperature means increase in the superheating. The first diagram is focused on specific output, kilowatts per kg of working fluid, and second drawing is showing the thermal efficiency of the Rankine cycle. This is influence of superheating by increasing the turbine inlet temperature with boiler pressure on performance of simple Rankine cycle performance. For specific output, there is a optimum boiler pressure at each and every turbine inlet temperature. The optimum pressure is also increasing with increasing the turbine inlet temperature. And the efficiency also increasing with increasing the temperature, that is the turbine inlet temperature, as well as the boiler pressure. But thermal efficiency is increasing in the decline rate, diminishing rate with increasing the boiler pressure. At the increased boiler pressure, it also demanding the heavy pump capacity. That's why it is not increasing linearly, it is increasing in a diminishing rate. So finally, it is saying superheating is good for performance point of view. Increasing superheating increases the output as well as the efficiency. Rising source temperature and lowering the sink temperature. Carnot is saying source temperature can be increased and sink temperature can be decreased to increase the output as well as the efficiency. So the drawing A and B respectively for specific output and thermal efficiency. The drawing shows the influence of superheating by increasing the turbine inlet temperature with condenser pressure, that's the sink temperature, on performance of simple Rankine cycle. Condenser pressure is increased here on the x-axis, and the secondary variable, the turbine inlet temperature is increased from 350 degrees centigrade to 475 degrees centigrade. As per the earlier discussion, with increase in the turbine inlet temperature, both output and efficiency is increasing. With increase in condenser pressure, the output as well as the efficiency decreasing. The second method is reheating of Rankine cycle. The efficiency also can be increased by reheating the steam uh, between two turbines. See the schematic arrangement of the Rankine cycle. The superheat steam is expanding the high pressure steam turbine. After expansion of the high pressure steam turbine, the steam is again passed to the boiler. The temperature of the steam is increased. After rising the temperature of the steam, it is expanded in the low pressure steam turbine. The remaining components are same, that is the condensation, pumping and boiling, everything is same except the reheater. So the extra component in the reheat Rankine cycle is the reheater. In the TS diagram, the superheated steam is expanded in high pressure steam turbine, reheated to the original temperature or above the original temperature. Its expansion continues in the low pressure steam turbine. Condensation, pumping and the boiling. Thermal efficiency is defined as output. Now there are two outputs here. One is the high pressure steam turbine output, the second is low pressure steam turbine output, minus work input to the pump. And heat addition is also is here. One is the boiler, that is from 6 to 781, and the second one is heat addition, the reheater, that is 2 to 3. In reheat Rankine cycle, the performance is analyzed here in terms of specific output and thermal efficiency. Reheat pressure ratio is increased. Reheat pressure ratio is defined as the ratio of reheat pressure and boiler pressure. With increase in the reheat pressure, there is a drop in output. Once the reheat pressure is increasing, the high pressure steam expansion in the high pressure steam turbine is decreasing. That's why there is a drop in the output. But efficiencies keep on increasing as well as decreasing. That's why there is an optimum reheat pressure ratio. It's approximately 0.2. It will change at various conditions, the parameters. The rise and fall of this thermal efficiency is interpreted because of the heat addition, extra heat addition, as well as positive side there is more output, negative side there is a if input also is increased. That's why there is a balance between these two conditions. That is a trade-off The heat pressure ratio is shown here in x-axis, and y-axis is the mean temperature of heat addition. The dotted line shows the basic Rankine cycle. With respect to the Rankine cycle, the efficiency is increased here. That's efficiency increase or not, we can say whether the mean temperature of heat addition is increased or not. The mean temperature of heat addition may be more than the simple Rankine cycle or less than the simple Rankine cycle. If the mean temperature of heat addition is more than the simple Rankine cycle, we can expect the increase in the efficiency. If the mean temperature of heat addition is less than the simple Rankine cycle, we can't expect the efficiency improvement in the Rankine cycle. So there is no any guarantee of increase in thermal efficiency from the reheat Rankine cycle. It may increase or it may decrease. That depends upon the mean temperature of heat addition. So now we can see the reheat pressure ratio and output and on output and thermal efficiency. The output is increased here in the reheat Rankine cycle compared to the simple Rankine cycle, and efficiency also some improvement of efficiency compared to the simple Rankine cycle we can expect. But very some cases only, that is very low reheat pressures and very high reheat pressures, there is a drop in thermal efficiency as discussed in the earlier slide of mean effective temperature of heat addition. And optimum reheat pressure also changing, that's increasing with increasing the boiler pressure. This graph shows the reheat pressure and mean temperature of heat addition with change in the turbine inlet temperature. Same like turbine pressure, turbine temperature also is analyzed here. This reheat pressure ratio is extended for the analysis of specific output and thermal efficiency. A simple Rankine cycle and reheat Rankine cycle is compared here, and the turbine inlet temperature is changing from 325 degrees centigrade to 450 degrees centigrade. We can also see the optimum reheat pressure for each and every case of turbine inlet temperature. And the third option of increasing the thermal efficiency of the Rankine cycle is regeneration. Regeneration is the phenomena of rising the feed water temperature before entering into the boiler. The temperature of feed water heater is increased, the heat supply to the boiler will decrease. Finally, it leads to improvement in the thermal efficiency. In the ideal case, to achieve the Carnot cycle, the steam, generally steam is expanded in the turbine. The same steam is used to raise the temperature of feed water here. So there is a heat transfer between the steam and the water. The feed water temperature is increased from condenser temperature to the, let us assume this is the boiler temperature. Now heat addition is at constant temperature. Heat rejection also at the constant temperature. So it is the yellow color shows close to the Carnot cycle. This is the hypothetical concept of regeneration, that is the heat transfer between the steam as well as the water. But practically it is difficult to design a turbine as an expander as well as a heat exchanger. That's why there is a separate heat exchanger is designed here, which is called as feed water heater. Feed water heaters are two types. One is open type of feed water heater where the steam and water are directly mixed with each other. And the second category, closed feed water heater, there is indirect contact between the steam and water. In this category, the open feed water heater is also called as deaerator because the dissolved gases in the steam or water is expelled out in the deaerator because they are not able to condense into the liquid form they are remains in the gaseous form. That's why they are trapped out. So there are two benefits in the deaerator. One is raising the feed water temperature. The second one is the removing the dissolved gases. That's why in thermal power plant it's a mandatory process to remove the dissolved gases. Coming to the construction and working of this feed water heater, the steam is expanded in the turbine. Some portion of steam is trapped for the open feed water heater. The remaining balanced steam is expanded and condensed here. The steam is directly mixed with the feed water heater. The steam is condensed. After mixing, the temperature of water is increased from 5 to 6. So hot water is pumped and supplied to the boiler. The heat supply to the boiler is decreasing because compared to the simple Rankine cycle, relatively the hot water, that's a high temperature water is supplied to the boiler. In TS diagram it is shown here, 1 to 2 is the expansion of steam. Some portion of steam is blood, this is the blood steam is used dedicated to the feed water heater, and the remaining portion is expanded here. For example, 1 kg of steam is considered in the boiler and m kg is taken out. 1 minus m kg is going to the subsequent process of expansion as well as the condensation. There is a mixing process, that is 2 and 5 is equal to 6. Is m2 plus m5 is equal to m6. 2 plus 5 is equal to 6. This is the mixing process also shown in the TS later. So the combination of mass balance and energy balance we can combine together to find the amount of steam required to get the saturated liquid condition at the exit of the feed water heater. The mass balance equation is m2 plus m5 is equal to m6. Energy balance equation is m2h2 plus m5h5 is equal to m6h6. Here m2 is unknown, that can be solved by combining mass balance and energy balance equations. Thermal efficiency is the total output, net output and working heat input here. The output is from two types. One is expansion before trapping, expansion after trapping, and minus the work input to the pump. Amount of steam is determined from the heat balance in the boiler, that is ms or m1 is equal to heat recovery from the hot gas and enthalpy rise in the boiler, that is 7 to 1. If m2 is a steam used for feed water heater, the balance steam is m1 minus m2. The heat balance is the m2 plus 5 is equal to 6. So the simplification of this mass balance and energy balance is showing m2 is equal to m1 into h6 minus h5 by h2 minus h5. If m1 is equal to 1, this becomes h6 minus h5 by h2 minus h5. The analysis of regenerative Rankine cycle, here the deaerator temperature ratio is varied from very close to the condenser to the boiler. Deaerator temperature ratio is defined as the temperature difference between the blood steam to the condenser temperature, and maximum temperature difference in the system is boiler saturation temperature and condenser saturation temperature. So if the theta is equal to 0, that indicates the deaerator temperature is equal to temperature as well as pressure is equal to the condenser pressure. Practically it's not possible, that's why it's slightly above 0 it is started. And if the deaerator temperature is so, that's theta is equal to 1, the deaerator temperature as well as pressure is equal to the boiler. Slightly below the boiler pressure it is ended. The boiler pressure is also changed from 50 to 175 degrees centigrade. The results are compared with the standard cycle. Since steam is used for feed water heater, the output is decreasing, but the efficiency is increasing because of the saving in the heat input in the boiler. The optimum de-aerated temperature ratio is approximately 0.5. That means de-aerated temperature is between the condenser saturation temperature and boiler saturation temperature. The de-aerated temperature ratio is also analyzed with the turbine inlet temperature changing from 325 degrees centigrade to the 350 degrees centigrade. There also optimum de-aerated temperature is approximately 0.5 with respect to the turbine inlet temperature. In the closed feed water heater, there is no direct contact between the steam and the feed water heater. There is indirect contact. The construction and working is slightly different compared to the de-aerator. It won't remove the dissolved gases from the water due to the indirect contact. M2 is the steam trap for the de-aerator, and the balanced steam is expand the turbine, and remaining components like condensation, pumping and boiling is same, but there are two pumps is used here. The first pump is the balanced condensed steam is pumped from condenser pressure to the boiler pressure, and the trapped steam after condensation it's pumping to the boiler pressure from the from the feed water heater pressure to the boiler pressure. Uh, this Rankine cycle is shown on TS diagram. 1 2 is expansion and the steam is trapped here, that's M2. The balanced steam is expanded, and 3 to 4 is the condensation, and 4 5 is the pumping, and 5 to 6 is the feed water heater. Very close to the saturation temperature it's heated, and 2 7 is it's the trapping and the heat rejection by the steam. And here also the energy balance is there, that is M2 H2 plus M5 H5 is equal M6 H6 plus M7 H7. Thermal efficiency is defined as the output from the total expansion minus pump input, two pumps here, and heat input to the boiler. Amount of steam can be calculated by energy balance in the boiler. While designing closed feed water heater, there is a temperature difference to be maintained, that is the terminal temperature difference is to be maintained to ensure the positive temperature between the hot fluid as well as the cold fluid. Hot fluid is the steam and cold fluid is the feed water heater. So the T6 is kept below the steam temperature, that is at the exit. The T7 is the condensed steam. The T6 is kept, that's T7 minus TTD, terminal temperature difference. This is the mass balance equation. M3 is equal to M1 minus M2 is the mass balance equation. And energy balance equation in feed water heater. The combining mass balance and energy balance equation is showing M2 is equal to M1 H6 minus H5 by H2 plus H6 minus H5 minus H7. In practically in the thermal power plant, there is no single feed water heater. There are multiple number of feed water heaters are used. Generally, it is 8 to 9 number of feed water heaters are used. But out of all feed water heater, at least one open feed water heater is used here. And the analysis has been made for the feed water heaters to check the influence of number of feed water heaters. The zero shows without feed water heater, that's Rankine cycle. The output is decreasing by incorporating the feed water heaters. Let us start from 1, 2, 3 up to 12. It is analyzed, but the efficiency is increasing because of the saving in the boiler. We can see a lot of big jump from 0 to 1. There is a efficiency rise. The efficiency rise is increasing, but it is in the diminishing rate because of the loss of steam in terms of output. Finally, the results are consolidated here for the vapor power cycles. Superheating is favoring the output as well as the efficiency by increasing the source temperature. The boiler pressure is also favoring the specific output as well as the thermal efficiency. Sink temperature. Rising the sink temperature as per the format not recommended. If possible, it is we have to decrease the sink temperature to get the improvement in power as well as the efficiency. So the increase in the sink temperature decreases the specific output as well as the thermal efficiency. Reheating, the output is decreasing because of the enhanced expansion in the high pressure steam turbine as well as the low pressure steam turbine. But drops with the rise in reheat pressure, because this is the analysis that increasing the reheat pressure beyond the optimum, there is a drop in output, but generally the specific output is increasing. For thermal efficiency, it may increase or decrease, that depends upon the mean effective temperature of heat addition. If the mean effective temperature of heat addition is better than or more than Rankine cycle, the efficiency will improve, otherwise it will decrease. Regeneration, the output is decreasing because of the some steam is trapped and used for feed water heater, whereas the saving in the boiler leads to increase in the thermal efficiency. Thank you for your listening.